All right, so welcome back to another episode of Tech Path. We are going to dive into something I think you guys will like today. And I somehow coerced Perianne Boring to come and join me today.
Glad to be here.
How are
you? Yeah, good.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for coming to my neck of the woods.
Yes, we are. So we are at a business event. A lot of things have happened here recently, obviously with the crypto scenario with Crypto for Harris, but also what the Harris campaign has been able to do. So let's just dive right into that. First up, give us the lowdown on where you feel the Democrats are right now in terms of their policy for blockchain.
Yeah, well, it's been an incredible summer. I think this is the busiest summer I've probably ever had in my life, which is saying a lot. Things are moving very, very fast. So the DNC just, they did their convention last week, so we're just coming off the heels of all of that. Of course, there was no mention of digital assets or blockchain at the convention itself. Did not make it into the party platform, but there is a lot of interest. So I met with a member of the campaign just a couple of days ago. So the way that the Harris campaign has been operating, because we have the Biden-Harris administration, which of course is still in power, the campaign is operating that whatever the policy position of the Biden and Harris administration, that is the de facto policy. Right. Of the Harris and Walz campaign. So the party or the campaign told me that they're not comfortable diverging from the existing administration policy until after the convention is over. Okay. Mostly for political reasons, but for others as well. So we weren't really expecting to see much of anything until after the convention is over and Harris is formally the nominee. So how do you shift the Democratic Party being anti-crypto to pro-crypto? And of course the election, there's a huge opportunity. Now that we have a new leader, Kamala Harris is much younger. She comes from San Francisco. She is tech forward. We see a massive opportunity here to get a new and an updated and more nuanced position. And we are still optimistic that she will update her position. We are expecting to see in the coming days a very generic statement come from the administration. So stay tuned, but okay. I do believe there'll be some news from the administration soon. Something very high level, something very generic that basically says we don't hate crypto anymore.
Is it going to be substantive enough to really do it?
Well, I think you're getting to the heart of kind of the biggest question, at least I have. Yes. So I do believe that the powers that be on all sides of political parties see that there are great advantages to being pro-crypto. Yeah. There was a new poll or study that just released over the past couple of days that said over 50% of all corporate money going into supporting election type activity came from the cryptocurrency sector. So there's great incentive to be pro-crypto. However, where Harris sits today, because the Biden and Harris administration, again, has been so aggressive against our community, I personally believe that it'll be very difficult to win over crypto voters by making a statement alone. Yeah. Remember, she is in power. Yep. She's the vice president.
Could have had these changes already made.
Right.
Or at least her position.
Yeah, at least for me, in terms of where I personally will be voting as a single issue voter, I would not be convinced by a speech or a statement alone. I would want to see some action. And that's our advice, that's my advice to Vice President Harris is she is talking to industry. We are in contact with her campaign. So they at least have opened the door and they're hearing from industry and they're taking input. So that's kind of step one. Step two is come up with a position, something that's thoughtful. It can't just be, we don't like crypto because we there's not even a real reason for it. Come up with some kind of nuanced policy platform, like what everybody else has done, and then take a step. Do something. Pass one of the dozens of bills that's sitting in Congress today. End Operation Choke Point, or even just acknowledge it. Just acknowledge that it's happening, and outline some additional regulations for the bank regulators to get back in line in their statutory authority. So take some action. Are we going to see that? I'm
Big
waiting
question.
very anxiously, and I hope so, and that's what we're advocating for. That's what we're hoping to see.
What do you feel Senator Warren's chokehold is going to do post-election?
I mean, that's a big one. I mean, she is the head of the anti-crypto army. She's been promoting herself as the villain of our industry. If you go to her campaign website, it says, "I'm building the anti-crypto army." I mean, she's, very publicly, kind of the linchpin of this whole effort. And then, it's kind of weird that you have a U.S. senator who has so much influence over the administration. I mean,
Exactly.
There's supposed to be separation, but we don't really have that. Our understanding is that when she dropped out of the presidential race, or for the Democratic nominee in 2020, she put all of her support behind Biden, and our understanding is that there was some kind of handshake deal where she gets influence over financial services policy. And that's exactly what we've seen. A lot of the people who were nominated to head the agencies of the financial services space were all, people that she had influenced and recommended and worked to get into those roles. Here's one example where this has gone really bad. Governor Lael Brainerd, who now serves in the White House, she was one of the board of governors of the Federal Reserve. I worked with her extensively when she was at the Fed. She was kind of considered like the fintech governor. She was one of the younger, members on the board. And she was really spearheading all of the work and the research on all things fintech, including central bank digital currencies. Myself, my team, my members, we had many, many meetings with her that were extremely encouraging and positive. So now she's at the White House. So and she's very anti-crypto. There was a meeting with industry and the White House recently. Industry brought up the whole Operation Choke Point. This is an issue. Can you please do something? And essentially, she denied it even existed. So how does someone like Lael Brainerd go from that to being anti-crypto? Well, our understanding is that she wants to be the Treasury Secretary. And in order to be nominated, she needs Elizabeth Warren's nod of approval. And Elizabeth Warren is not giving nods of approval to anyone that's not pro-crypto. So, as you know, she's up for election this year in the Senate. My friend John Deaton is running against her. I'm supporting John Deaton. I've endorsed John Deaton. We need to take out the head of the anti-crypto army. But even if she is taken out, she's serving in a kind of unelected way with so much influence over the administration that she could even be more empowered if she lost her Senate race.
So we kind of understand a little bit, I think, in the confusion that's happening around the Democratic Party right now. Lack of positioning, carrying over the Biden administration.
Let's not be confused. They are anti-crypto. They tried to kill the industry. And that is their position.
That's the real position right now, as it is.
By the way, when I first moved to DC, I was a Democrat.
Okay.
I started my career as an intern for President Barack Obama.
Interesting. Okay. You look at the Trump campaign. You look at RFK Jr. now.
Endorsing Trump.
He's in a position right now where I think he just, unfortunately, was forced into that position. And will this make a big enough of a difference, do you think, within the Trump campaign? Even though we saw poly-market move up like 3 or 4% as soon as the announcement was made, but immediately within 24 hours, Harris was back up. Is this going to make enough of a difference for the independent and liberal voters?
I personally have had the opportunity to meet Robert Kennedy a number of times. I've had the opportunity to informally advise his campaign, and one of the questions I always had for him was, it's kind of hard to run as an independent in the United States of America. Why not get behind Trump? And he was like, no way, no way, no way, about this campaign. Have you guys ever thought about this? No way, no way, no way. So this was a really big deal that Robert Kennedy is now endorsing Trump. I mean, what's had to happen with how the Democrats have treated him. And just, you put all the election stuff aside, all the lawsuits, that stuff can be very complex to dissect and understand. Just look at how they treated him with respect to Secret Service. He did
Right,
not have
yeah.
Secret Service until
No.
a couple of weeks ago. How disgusting is that? I mean, if you like him or not, it's
Yeah.
basically saying, we hope you die. That was the message of the Democratic Party
Terrible.
to Bobby Kennedy. Whether you like him, you think he's weird, you think he's great, whatever, why wouldn't we give someone who's clearly a target of violence security protection?
Well, especially running for the president of the United States.
It's disgusting.
If by chance the Democrat Party at least allows it or begins the process, do you feel like this would be something that would take years, if not possibly even another administration 4 years from now to truly execute? Or do you feel like digital assets is going to be facing the same thing we've faced for the last 4 years?
There are some very specific and narrow regulatory fixes that could be implemented that would address 80% of the issue
Yeah.
innovators have building in the United States today. Really, it comes down to you have the Securities and Exchange Commission, extremely aggressive regulation by enforcement posture. They're saying all digital assets are a security, but we won't tell you which ones are.
Yeah.
You have to start operating, and if you mess up, we're coming after you. And that's
Yeah.
what the past 4 years has been. So we could fix that by just creating a definition of a digital asset security and putting that into law. And the SEC could have done that, but they didn't. And to be fair, we asked Jay Clayton to do that. He didn't.
Yep.
So this isn't just all Gary Gensler.
Yeah.
This actually was an issue in the Trump administration, to be fair.
You look at both administrations, you look at the position of most likely the Trump administration would probably get Gensler in a position where he might step aside and make room for somebody else. What are your thoughts on this? Do you feel like this could actually happen before his term ends?
I've heard a lot of different things. So according to my sources inside the SEC,
Okay.
he's toying with the idea of stepping down from the chairmanship role into a commissioner role.
Okay.
And we're hearing he is entertaining that because he may not be able to get a job anywhere else because he's that unpopular. But again, this came from sources inside the SEC.
Interesting.
According to a different source, there was this rumor floating around on the internet recently that Kamala Harris was considering nominating him to Treasury Secretary.
Right.
So we're hearing that actually was planted by Elizabeth Warren, who actually is the number one nemesis. I think she's number one. Gary
Interesting.
Gensler is more so just operating at her direction.
Where does one begin and the other end, though?
So, and we're hearing the reason why she did that is because they're then planning to do some polling on how did that announcement impact her base, which her base may not actually care at all because her base isn't the really crypto voters and other people that are upset at the way he's been operating by fiat at the commission, and using that as a way to say, okay, who cares if you upset people outside of your base? Your base is who you really need to appease, and if they don't care, then you should nominate him as Treasury Secretary. So we're seeing here another potential chess play by Elizabeth Warren, who again was not elected to serve in the administration, but somehow has a lot of influence over it.
Yeah. Who do you think would be a candidate for the chair position if Gensler were to step aside?
I actually have information on this that I'm not at liberty to
Come on,
share,
Perianne.
but depending on who's elected, I think it would look very different.
Okay.
If Trump is elected, I'm highly confident we would have a pro crypto
All right, enough
person
said there.
serving as chair. If Kamala Harris is elected, I don't know if we have enough to say that the
Interesting.
administration would not be, we wouldn't continue the anti-crypto
Position, yeah.
position of
All right.
Kanye.
Well, you got me somewhat excited here, a little bit disappointed at the same time, but I think it also is something that many of our viewers and listeners have to understand. Reality is that the only way you change this is to get out and vote, and or if you're running a business, truly understand what this impact is to your own business if something starts to change in the
Get
United
people
States.
on record.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been voting as a single issue crypto voter for 10 years. In my local elections, a lot of times in state and local elections, people don't have a position on crypto, but I'll call.
Yep.
Where are you in crypto? I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, can I come in and tell you about it? Because I'm not going to vote for you unless
There
you
you go.
support my industry. And a lot of people have. So that's something all Americans can do, regardless if you're in politics, you're a business or a business leader, an influencer, whatever. Get as many people running for office on record. Because if they're
Yeah.
not on record, there's not a lot we can do.
No way. Yeah, I think this is a big deal. Listen, we're going to get you back on hopefully after the election, so we'll get a chance to, or maybe even in the sense where we start to see some alignment coming out of the Harris camp to get some assessment of what you guys think is going to happen. So it'd be great to have you back.
Great to be here.
All right, thanks so much. All right, you guys are tuned in over on the YouTube channel right now. Make sure and like and subscribe. If you are not part of the Diamond Circle, make sure and get in. That's our own private member group. All you have to do is click the link down below. You guys can get in. We do additional research and also additional content right over there on the Diamond Circle. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.